Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the path.
And you're listening to Live from the Path. We're coming from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper. It is good to be with you this fine evening. And you're lucky I came too. I had half a mind not to come.
I wasn't going to be there then.
Hey, here's what we got going on the show tonight. So here's what we had planned. So one of the things that we were talking about, Good News Changed the World, had to do with sex trafficking. We wanted some more information about that. And we were going to talk to Nate Baird. If you remember, we talked to Nate, I don't know. It had to have been 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. He did Happy Birthday, Nate. He was raising money to do
nets.
Mosquito. Yeah, mosquito nets. Yeah. So anyway, he's doing a Merry Christmas, Nate, and he's helping to raise money for Wings of Refuge, which is they help people who have gotten out of sex trafficking to transition their way into society, I believe. Yeah. And so we were going to have them on to have them kind of talk about that. But the sickness got him. It attacked Nate Baird, and he couldn't make it in.
Man, that's depressing.
That's what I'm saying. So we got to reschedule. But here's what happens. Because we're not doing that this week, we can get to those the article that has popped up like as if we were going to do it for the past few weeks. So that's my only goal. It might be a short show tonight, fellas, but I want to get this article done so that I can get it off my list of articles. And it had to do with reasons why ladies cheat. And it was on CNN. It was from the beginning of October, and it was the changing reasons why women cheat on their husbands. And did anybody read it?
Here's what I want to say about that sex trafficking deal.
Okay.
I really want to be involved in the sting of taking them down. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be much more difficult once you kind of get into it, and then like you actually see the situation for what it is.
That's got to break your heart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
to be that far in it where you're going to bring them down. You've got to be in there,
right? And so like you got to be, you got to see the whole thing as if you're just a purveyor of goods. And I don't know if I could make it through there, so I probably wouldn't be good for the sting operations. But like, that's terrible. And I'm really excited to talk to both Nate and these ladies about this thing to see how we can help. Like I
don't know if they're looking for open positions for a guy to poorly execute the taking down of folks.
A stinger. They need a stinger. I'll drive a big rig.
I couldn't do it. Like some of those, like those guys who were in there building cases against folks.
Like with multiple visits.
Yeah,
and
like
whatnot?
they have to go in there and like act like they're in there to buy ladies' time.
Yeah.
And then they hang out and then they walk away and they got to go back and like you don't even get the satisfaction all the time of being able to just walk in there and say this is the end, bro. Like
yeah,
you got to spend some time building the case and stuff. And I think it would be tough.
Well, I was just reading on the Exodus Road had something there in India there a couple of days ago where it was like a 3-hour turnaround. Like, they went in, a gal escaped, she told somebody, they fired it up, got these two dudes over there, and whiz-bang, pop, got another gal out of there, and then arrested like 3 guys all at once.
Well, that's right on.
Like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I here's the thing, is I know it's not a subject that I spend a whole lot of time on. Obviously, it's deplorable. But, like, I don't know that I spend a whole lot of time on it because I feel like it doesn't affect me, and I think they're going to say that it certainly does. And that it is in my backyard, and then there are all kinds of things going on here that I am gleefully turning my eye away from that and acting like it's not a deal.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited. I'll be guarded for that conversation because I feel like once you talk to some folks who have been in and around that arena, it's really hard to turn away from that and not get involved somehow. So
yeah, I wonder if there's like with the Super Bowl coming into Minneapolis this year. I wonder if there's they need extra folk.
Stingers.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's where the third string stingers can show up. I mean, they're not even trying. You know what I'm saying? Super Bowl, everybody knows that's the deal. We just need guys to knock on doors. Hey, man, is that right? Is that legit? No. Out.
I mean, the whole thing just I'm so foreign to this stuff. I mean, like how let's say you're the dude looking for a girl. I mean, you don't. I mean, who do you? Hey, I'm looking for a little girl. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, because there's both sides of this happening. There's people providing and there's people buying.
Yeah.
And somehow they're connecting. And I'm thinking, is sick and wrong on both sides. It's like the whole thing is just not right.
Is that what happens on the dark web? Like the parts of the internet that they say, look, you do just the bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is the type of thing that goes on there.
Yeah.
Also, like they found, like Craigslist has been a good front for that. Like they'll advertise young ladies and act like they're kind of overage and then or of age, and then they're not.
Yeah, I've been to workshops where they kind of describe some of that stuff, but I'm still like, how do you know that? How do they know that? Like, I know some of that stuff because I've gone to workshops and I go, oh, okay, but.
If you were like, are you taking a risk that you're actually looking for an underage lady and you're just hoping this Craigslist is a lie and that it's younger than that?
I mean, I don't know how the conversation, you're working with some dude, hey, I like 12-year-olds, how about you? I mean, how do you even learn about this dark web?
There's one person you can say that to that's not going to have you arrested.
Yeah, exactly.
Directly.
Or we would hope.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's like, how does all this even get facilitated? Given, I mean, certainly most people have their ears open for people looking for underage kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. How does this even happen? I mean, I suppose it happens in the places where we're not. Otherwise, we'd be aware of them in some way or another. But it'd be interesting. Okay, we'll ask.
I'm loaded with questions, and I'm sure that after they start talking, I'll just shut my mouth and listen. But I got questions.
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. This was the article. Why women. The changing reasons why women cheat on their husbands. One of the more interesting facts in Esther Perel's new book, State of Affairs, Rethinking Infidelity, comes near the beginning. Since 1990, notes the psychoanalyst and writer, the rate of married women who report they've been unfaithful has increased by 40%, while the rate among men has remained the same. Good, we've been sleazy the whole time. Congratulations, boys.
Excellent.
More women than ever are cheating, she tells us, or are willing to admit that they are cheating. And while Perel spends much of her book examining the psychological meaning, motivation, and impact of these affairs, she offers little insight into the significance of the rise itself. So what exactly is happening inside marriages to shift the numbers? What has changed about monogamy or family life in the past 27 years to account for the closing gap? And why have so many women begun to feel entitled to the kind of behavior long accepted, albeit disapprovingly, as a male prerogative? These questions first occurred to me a few years ago when I began to wonder how many of my friends were actually faithful to their husbands. From a distance, they seemed happy enough, or at least content. Like me, they were doing the family thing. They had cute kids, mortgages, busy social lives, matching sets of dishes. On the surface, their husbands were reasonable, the marriages modern and equitable. If these women friends were angry, unfulfilled, or resentful, they didn't show it. Then one day, one of them confided in me she had been having 2 overlapping affairs over the course of 5 years. Almost before I finished processing this, another friend told me she was 100% faithful to her husband, except when she was out of town for work each month. Not long after, another told me that while she'd never had sex with another man, she had so many emotional affairs and inappropriate email correspondence over the years that she'd had to buy a separate hard drive to store them all. Who is storing them?
Who keeps them?
What surprised me most about these conversations was not that my friends were cheating, but that many of them were so nonchalant in the way they described their extramarital adventures. There was deception, but little secrecy or shame. Often they loved their husbands, but felt in some fundamental way that their needs, sexual, emotional, psychological, were not being met inside the marriage. Some even wondered if their husbands knew about their infidelity, choosing to look away. The fact is, one of these friends told me, I'm nicer to my husband when I have something special going on that's just for me. She found that she was kinder, more patient, less resentful, less of a bee. It occurred to me as I listened that these women were describing infidelity not as a transgression, but a creative or even subversive act, a protest against an institution they'd come to experience as suffocating or oppressive. In an earlier generation, this might have taken the form of separation or divorce, but now it seemed more and more women were unwilling to abandon the marriages and families they built over years or decades. They were also unwilling to bear the stigma of a publicly open marriage or to go through the effort of negotiating such a complex arrangement. These women were turning to infidelity not as a way to explode a marriage, but as a way to stay in it. Whereas conventional narratives of female infidelity so often posit the unfaithful woman as a passive party, the women I talked to seemed in control of their own transgressions. There seemed to be something new about this approach. So let me ask you this first thing, fellas. Is there anything about this surprised you? Because this jumped out at me. Like this seemed interesting to me. Not that necessarily it was happening, but the nonchalance about it, or the accepting as an appropriate means to an end on wanting a marriage that's not falling apart. Is this surprising to you or no?
Well, most of the morality has flipped upside down.
Okay.
So in that context, I guess it's not surprising. It's disappointing and it's sad. But what else would you expect from a godless society?
So what's interesting is that it has it's not complete abandonment though. Right? And not necessarily of a moral standard one way or the other.
Yeah.
But like it's not saying maybe it's the reversal of that, and maybe just some naivety in my mind, but like this looking outside of your marriage as a means to keep your marriage, and even to look at it as a good.
Oh yeah.
As a
I'm
service
saving
to
my
the marriage
marriage
itself.
by adding spice elsewhere.
Here's the deal. I suppose guys have been under that stupidness for years. Right? There's been a foolishness, and maybe it's more true, and maybe it's just a admitting it or being more open about it, where the nonchalance of guys or their willingness to be open about that type of thought. But certainly it does feel like it's been a guy's prerogative to say, hey, if my wife's not giving me what I want, it's okay for me to get it elsewhere. Because in fact, I know there was somebody that I know. Not close, but anyway, there was just a story that I heard of it was basically that very thing. The wife just said, "Look, I can't keep up with what you want for the benefit of our marriage. Just go ahead and do whatever you got to do, and then our marriage that part will just kind of be farmed out. It's just like farming out responsibilities to other parties. And I guess maybe hearing it come from a lady's perspective. Is interesting to me because I have not heard that, but to kind of put it in a thought process that like it is a functional way of retaining things that you're otherwise proud of, like the cohesion of your family, the staying power of your marriage, or the not having to break up the kids or whatever. And so if this is what it costs to do that, then fine.
I mean, the not having to break up the kids thing was legit, but the two other things you said is like the cohesion of your marriage or the strong way. I mean, you basically just ran a relay by taking a taxi and then getting to the end and being like, yeah, I made the relay. You did not do any of those things. You cheated the whole thing. That's not what a marathon is. It's not what a relay is. It's not what a marriage is, right? So like you can't just do whatever you want and say, well, this is what I'm going to call a marriage. And it's I get to have sex with who I want when I want to. Because then I'll be nicer to my husband or whatever you decided was the deal, right? Like, because you wanted to do the easy thing. The easy thing is to not work out whatever reason you're mad at your husband in the first place and have sex with him, right? Your deal is like, I can stay correct. He can stay wrong. I will have sex with this other man. And then, I don't really hold it against him because he doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And that's the thing. It's like you're not fighting out of passion and fighting out of love like a regular marriage would. That's how they battle. You live with people for so long and like you're just going to disagree and you're going to fight. And your passions are going to boil over because you care about what you're fighting about. But when you stop fighting and say, look, I'm just going to get what I want over here, and actually I'm going to fight less with my husband, you're fighting less with your husband because you care less about him. Mm-hmm. That's the way that's working. Yeah. And so once again, is like you just ran a marathon by taking a taxi cab and then still crossed the finish line and acting like you rocked it. You didn't rock it. You cheated. You didn't maintain a marriage. You did whatever you had to make it look like you were crossing the finish line, but it was a lie. The whole thing was a lie. You didn't actually cross the finish line because you didn't run the pavement to get there.
We have this crazy idea that marriage is about fulfilling my needs. And if my spouse isn't fulfilling my needs, then I need to fill them some other way.
Yeah, that is the very crux of this discussion. Absolutely.
So, like, whatever happened to my marriage, the purpose is to glorify God.
Yeah, that wasn't part of the.
I mean, the open band of lady cheaters is probably not on that. Not on that train.
which goes back to what do you expect of a godless society? I mean, I've really shifted in my thinking over the years, I guess, is because I think, gosh, even the church, I think we have caused this in the last 15, 20 years. All these sermon series is on meeting the needs of your spouse, blah, 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 blah. But what the spouse hears is, yeah, you're supposed to meet my needs.
Right.
And it becomes a weapon rather than a tool to make a marriage better. It becomes a weapon that this is why I get to do what I want because you're not meeting my needs.
Yeah.
And we're, gosh, this thing just breaks my heart.
I mean, right? Like there's kind of three options, I suppose, if you want to think about it. Is you have in a marriage, you're submitting your marriage to God and acting faithfully within it because of what God calls marriage to be. You're submitting to your husband or spouse in service to them, or you're primarily in it for your own needs. And like this is basically just choosing the third option and saying, this is a contractual thing. This is what I expect to get out of it. If you're not supplying, you're not supplying the goods at the cost that I want or what I'm willing to pay for it, then I will get it from a different supplier who doesn't give me the hassle and can make things happen on time.
So we've thrown out for better, for worse, for rich, for poor, sickness and health. It's just kind of, I just want to be happy.
Yeah. And so, and I suppose with the caution, of course, would be, is that like this, that it is a, you have what feels like a momentary solution it's simply not sustainable, right? Like that's not a long-term thing. What feels like current success is just the covering up of an underlying issue that is going to reveal itself, and then the thing that you've not dealt with is still going to be there 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever you are unable to, man or lady, get what it is that you're looking for outside of your contract now.
Right.
It's like your situation actually hasn't changed. It's just you've put a blindfold on and said, yeah, things are fine.
I'd be interested for the long-term perspective here, like someone that's done this thing and they're not 85 now, and they're like, yes, that was definitely the way to go.
That was a great idea.
I mean, nobody else can see this. Have you not met women? I mean, this is the crazy thing, and I don't know, women tend to be, like, they don't take those things lightly, right? Like especially the emotional cheating. Like the physical stuff is even easier for them to get over some of the time than it is like a connection and an emotional connection of someone cheating on them. So the fact that they'd be willing to do the exact same thing and hip hip hooray about it, like it's just a very odd stance. I mean, you're protecting something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I got some kind of weird Windows message. I lost the rest of my article.
Oh no.
Hold on, pull it up. I was going to read the rest of this. There was two overlapping. I don't know how people. It's now that I think about this, I have the same question about this that Dan has about the sex trafficking. I don't even know how this happens.
Yeah,
I don't even know how these things occur. Let's see. Here we go.
I actually, to tag on to one of them ladies who says, "Hey, look, so like I travel out of town for work, right?" And like. Where she says, like, I'm faithful except for when I go out of town, for work or whatever. And I'm like, I've never once thought to say to anybody, hey, I'm out of town. It's, I mean, usually they can pretty much pick up on the fact that you don't live here. That's why you staying in a hotel.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's it, right? But other than that, like, it doesn't come up as, like, weird I don't understand the boldness of people. Like, especially when I'm out of town, I wouldn't even be in a room with another woman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just easier. Right. I hang out with dudes and dudes only, and then that's it. It's done. Because then these conversations like that never come up. And I just don't understand people. Continue on. Sorry.
But it's like, how do you start? Well, honey, I don't know how I got the herpes. I mean, boy, I can't explain that. I mean,
maybe we're just we don't have the suaveness to pull this type of thing off. I don't understand how this is done. I don't understand how people are finding folk who are agreeing to this. And you're right, Mike. It's the boldness of people is outrageous. It's the same guy who was fishing the Craigslist looking for underage people, right? Yeah. You're like, how could you be like? There's no shame here, and so there's just outright boldness saying, yes, that's what I prefer. I prefer this person who's not my spouse. Yes.
Right, and
can I have you?
I mean, we're in the age of technology. Your wife done text you 3-4 times that night, right? Your kids FaceTimed you and wanted to talk to you while you was out of town or whatever. Mom, you know what I'm saying? And you still pulling this off guilt-free? I mean, I could see back in the day when no one could really get a hold of you by phone. Like if you were on a business trip for 10 days, you were gone, and then you came home 10 days later, and whatever. No one really asked or was up to date on you. But I mean, we're talking about social media and text messaging and phone calls, and people can get a hold of you whenever they want. Like you in constant contact with your people back home. I don't know how you're shelving that in 4 minutes and deciding it's time to go cheat with somebody, It's just crazy to me.
It says, in A Secret Life of the Cheating Wife, Power, Pragmatism, and Pleasure in Women's Infidelity, Another book on infidelity to be published this November, the sociologist Alicia Walker elaborates on the concept of female infidelity as a subversion of traditional gender roles. To do so, she interviews 40 women who sought or participated in extramarital relationships through the Ashley Madison dating site. Like the state of affairs, Walker's text offers valuable insight simply by way of approaching its subject from a position of curiosity as opposed to prevention or recovery, and she investigates which factors led the women in her study to go outside their marriages. Surely one might think a woman who would do such a thing must be acting out of a desire to escape a miserable marriage. And yet it turns out this isn't always the case. Many of the women Walker interviewed were in marriages that were functional. Oh, that's glorious. Sounds romantic.
Yep.
Like the women I knew who cheated, many of the interviewees said they liked their husbands well enough. Another ringing endorsement.
He's all right.
They had property together. Sorry. They had friendships together. They had children they were working together to raise. But at the same time, they found married life incredibly dull and constraining and resented the fact that as women, they felt they consistently did a disproportionate amount of the invisible labor that went into maintaining their lifestyle. One woman in Walker's book told her the inequality of it all is such an annoying factor that I'm usually in a bad mood when my spouse is in my presence. And another said that while her husband was a competent adult in the world, at home he felt like another child to clean up after. Yeah.
That's a reasonable complaint about dudes.
Yeah. I don't support the reaction, but I certainly recognize the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many of the friends I spoke to expressed similar feelings. I shop and cook. My husband does dishes and empties the trash. One told me, we each do our own laundry, but I've always been in charge of the calendar. And what I didn't realize until recently is that in some way I'm in charge of managing many of our relationships.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean...
Welcome to the big world.
Yeah, I mean, we supposed to feel sorry for you? I don't understand. I'm in charge of the calendar. My wife's in charge of the calendar. You know why? Because she does it better than I do. Because I tried it one time, and it was a disaster.
Let's see. My husband is a homebody, and I plan almost all of our social endeavors. My mom got this phrase from her therapist, keeping the pulse of the household. This idea that someone has to be managing the emotional heart of your tiny community, I think women do that a lot. I agree. I do think women do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I would agree with Mike. It's because they do it better.
And because they care.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to their credit.
Yeah.
Right? Are they saying, look, I don't want the credit. I just
They're
don't
saying
want
it's
this.
unfair.
Yeah, so I think the thought is that, like, how did I get sacked with this? And here's the deal: is you're going to feel, if you don't value it, then that's what it's going to feel like.
Well, here's the thing: it's like that could be a societal thing anyway, right? Like, good bulk of people will say, well, given the opportunity, like, here, you should do this, you'll get people, you will be esteemed, or you will have credit. People will think well of you, and they go, it's easier just not to do anything, right? And so, like, I mean, it could just be a sign of the times. People don't want to do nothing for no reason at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you don't find value in, so Dan's right. Like, my wife keeps up with our social relationships because if push came to shove, I wouldn't do it.
I'd drop them.
Yeah,
I could sit at home and watch TV. And...
Yeah, that doesn't speak well of me, but it is accurate.
I mean, hey.
Let's see. And as Perel repeats frequently in this book and in her previous one, little does as much to muffle erotic desire as this kind of caretaking and enmeshment. Now, here's what I will say is that's true. As a husband, if you are simply another child of whom your wife has to nanny because you are lazy and are basically making her follow you around to cause you to act like an adult, we can't be anything but surprised that your wife is upset and doesn't look at these what otherwise I would say are valuable things that are fantastic that my wife takes care of. For example, no wonder she doesn't look at them positively. It's a drain on her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like, we're remiss here. The conversation, like I said, I think a lot of what we're hearing here are things that men have been saying a lot more shallowly, I might add, for many years. But like, certainly the other part of this relationship is that women aren't being treated like women.
Yeah. You know what though? Like, I'm the only one who mows my yard, right? I don't go up and down the yard thinking to myself, this is just unfair. I'm gonna go have them fair. You know, I mean, I need to have sex with other women because my wife won't do the yard.
No, I agree. The output is wrong.
This just isn't right.
The output is wrong.
Yeah.
But I think we'd be remiss to not acknowledge that the core thought process that starts the trajectory seems like one that is reality and that I have seen. Right, like that women are feeling underappreciated, and they feel like they're having to parent their husbands at times.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? We have to father our wives. My wife has never changed her oil.
Oh yeah.
You know, she'll let it run bone dry if I don't say, "Hey, have you checked the oil?"
Right.
She doesn't even know how to.
Right.
Well, okay, I'll be your dad then. Well, you be my mom, pick up my socks. I'll be your dad and check your oil.
You should pick up your socks, Dan.
I know I should. She should check her oil.
Yeah, that's also true.
Okay, I don't check my oil either, but that's a bad example.
Yeah, you know, this is all framed, obviously, when framed within the concept of how we think marriage from a godly perspective.
Yeah.
It's easier to keep this thing in that context. But like, I think if you were to look broadly and societally, we would say people have looked at marriage and have ceased to value aspects of why you marry another person. Right, and like have said, I no longer like the things that we otherwise might like, hey, my husband checks my oil for me or to make sure my car's running. What comes with the sense of, hey, I don't want to have to be dependent on him. I don't want to feel like he has to do all these things. And you start taking away like the things that the different spouses have traditionally done. You no longer value them, and so then they feel like labor as opposed to service and grace.
Yeah.
And that is a perception problem, where we stop seeing those things as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. It says, I think there's an incredible amount of deep resentment for women in America about divisions of labor. And what social scientists are finding now is that there's a correlation between equal division of labor and better sex. No matter how much attention is paid to these issues, she told me, these kind of cultural beliefs hang on a long time after they're relevant. They hang on in ways that are often invisible. A lot of women have tried to address these problems and have faced a lot of stubbornness from husbands. They feel there's no way to win this battle, so maybe now that women are deciding what women are deciding is that infidelity is a third way. So I would also agree with Dan that like one does not lead to the other, right? Like you can have a stubbornness in your marriage, and like you stepping out of the marriage that's not solving a problem. That's walking away. And so like I think we have to recognize that like just because we've tied those things together in a sentence does not mean that that's the next logical conclusion.
Right.
Of course, it's a third way that is not feasible for everyone, even if more women are taking it up. Usually women who feel financially secure and independent enough to risk potential fallout. These women seem to be finding that no amount of sensitivity or goodwill on part of their husbands can save them from the fact that in every arena, from work to marriage to parenthood, they're always doing more for less. As Wade put it, it's such a precarious balance keeping everyone happy that for many women to start a long conversation about her own sexual satisfaction seems like a bad idea. We now tell women that they can have it all, that they can work and have a family and deserve to be sexually satisfied. And then when having it all is miserable and overwhelming, or they realize marriage isn't all it's cracked up to be, maybe having affairs is the new plan B.
Now, listen to me, you lazy bastard. Your marriage is not what it's all cracked up to be because you're choosing to do it in a ridiculously stupid way. If you have two people pining to do what's best for the other person, that does not equal the marriage he's talking about.
That's
Right.
true.
Right.
I'm sorry, was it a lady? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like yelling at fellas. I don't yell at ladies well.
Ma'am. Just end with ma'am.
Yeah, so that's true, right? The very crux of this description is you're trying to have it all, but it seems like it's all the wrong things.
Well, that's it. They're pointing their finger at the institution of marriage. And the truth is, it is what you make of it. Your marriage is whatever you put into it, and however, mostly, if you follow what God tells you to do and the way that you are to view two people becoming one, that means you never get the option to be one person separate again. That's the deal. That's what happens when two become one. And so, like, when you walk into this thing going, this is what I'm doing forever, and, like, any amount of sex I plan on having is dependent on how well I treat this person, right? There's a reason God didn't say, and you may have sex with the trees, because people wouldn't do nothing else.
Yeah.
That's all they'd be doing all the time. And so he says, look, it's a good and perfect gift, but you're going to get it through another person, and it's going to create intimacy, and it's going to create closeness, and to get that, you're going to have to treat them well. And so you have basically traded all the good things that God has built into marriage to create what he needs it to be and what it was designed to be. You want to throw those out, do whatever you want, and expect the same output, and then when it doesn't happen, you want to kick your toys and then run for the hills and do what you wanted to do in the first place. You've created a problem and then pointed back at it and said, this is a problem. I can't believe this.
Right. The institution sucks. You are not. Like you're blaming it on the institution of marriage when it's your participation within the institution,
Yes.
right? It's the things that are going on inside it. It's like marriage. Actually, so they talked about that. It said that I tested this idea out on a few of the friends who had confided to me about their affairs, and most of them agreed. 20 or 30 years ago, they might have opted for divorce because surely there was another man out there who could do better in this role, who could satisfy them completely. But a lot of these women are children of divorce. They live through the difficulties divorce can create. Maybe that's the essential question, the question preceding Perel explores in her book. Why do women still marry when, if statistics are to be believed, marriage doesn't make them very happy? I confided in a friend once that after 15 years of marriage, the institution and the relationship itself continued to mystify me. At the time I married, marriage had felt like a panacea. It was a bond that would provide security, love, friendship, stability, and romance. The chance to have children and nice dishes, to be introduced as someone's wife. It promised to expand my circle of family, improve my credit score, to tether me to something wholesome and give my life meaning. So, like, the expectation is like that. Marriage doesn't do that. Your relationship within the marriage is what actually connects the binds, right? The marriage is the agreement that that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But it's not the doing of it.
Yeah, the marriage itself doesn't provide security, love, friendship, stability, or romance. The guy does that you're married to.
Yeah.
He does that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to be careful who you're bound to here. I mean, that certainly makes sense. Here's the thing. It's like if you saw the importance of that, like coming off on this, if you're creating a third leg that says, we don't have to resolve these problems. I'm just going to cheat on my husband or cheat on my wife. When, like, the lessons we can be learning is that, like, we need to recognize what we're entering into. Like, we're entering into a commitment to people. And, like, if you don't feel like you can be committed to this person, for heaven's sakes, don't do it. Right? Yeah. Like, if this isn't someone, like, if you can't look down the road and say, you know what, hey, he's not lazy, and he actually seems to love and support me, then fine. Go through the process. But, like, marriage doesn't solve problems. It tethers you to the problem if you've got the wrong person.
It teaches you humility.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the dude.
Let's see. My friend told me she felt this way of thinking was the only answer, and the way she'd come to reconcile her feelings about the relationship. She said that she used to compare her marriage to her parents, who always seemed totally in love. Until the end of my mom's life, they were spooning together every night in a double bed. Not even a queen. But, she added, they were awful and narcissistic, with very little to give their children. Well, it's kind of an extreme example. My friend felt she and her husband were much better parents, more involved and attuned to their kids. But often, she went on, it can feel like my husband and I are running a family corporation together, and that our emotional intimacy consists of gossiping about our friends and watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens. I'm most likely to gossip about the children and not watch Game of Thrones. We've been watching stuff on the Hallmark Channel. Oh, it's got me reeled in. Sometimes I wonder if, when the kids leave, I should either A, have a passionate affair, or B, find another husband. I may do neither, but it seems like A is more likely than B. I don't have any illusions that marrying someone else will make me happy. Not anymore. Dang.
Huh.
Dang, this article is a drag. It's not my experience.
No, neither is mine. Like, this is not an institute of marriage problem. I'm telling you, you're participating in it wrongly. Like, you showed up and said, give me all these things that I want. And I said, well, listen, if you... I mean, that was basically the deal, right? Like, if you love your spouse in the way that they need to be loved, you will receive love back in the exact same way. It will be of equal measure, right? And that's the way it works. Like, you can't support yourself and then blame them for not supporting you, right? Like, if you support your spouse supports you, then you are both supported and everybody's happy, and that's the way that it works. And it falls sometimes, and it sucks sometimes, and sometimes they didn't understand the support you wanted, and sometimes you didn't explain the support you wanted, and then there's a rift or whatever, but, like, communication fixes that, and then you're back to good again. And so, like, I don't understand. It's you're taking you call it the institute of marriage, and you are slandering it into the ground only because you've been doing it wrong. That's basically like going up to I don't know, what would be a good example?
It's like getting in the car into the front seat and riding it facing backwards, and then saying the front seat is uncomfortable.
Yeah, this car is always going the wrong direction. You're using it wrong. You're using the car incorrectly.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. You took something that it's a classic example of anything we've ever screwed up as humanity, right? God tells you, hey, build this city, hey, I'll invent bricks, and you're like, you know what we're gonna do with the bricks? We're gonna build a tower so big to the heavens. God's like, dang it, That's not what I intended for the bricks. And you guys, and then you come up with this plan. And the same thing with marriage. Well, Lord, I want to have more sex, and Greg don't want to have much sex with me, so I'm going to have sex with another guy. No, that is not what I intended for you to do. You're going to end up with half broken hearts all over the town. You guys keep acting like this. I gave you the marriage for a reason, and it was to protect you and to enrich you, and then you blame it for not working because you didn't want to participate in it. Wrong answer. You're using the car wrong. Jeez.
All right. Anyway, that was it. That's the whole article. Why women?
That's a terrible article.
Yeah, that's difficult.
I don't know that this is as widespread as they're making it sound. Just because you got a couple sleep about friends that are okay with cheating on their husband.
I don't know though. We live in a little bubble. We're in a Christian little bubble.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
I mean,
I don't know. I got a lot of friends that ain't know Jesus for nobody.
Actually, here's the thing. This goes back to that boldness thing, though. It's like I look around. And I think the people that aren't in my Christian bubble. All right, and I think we're like, they're not bold. They're not. They're not brave. They don't have suave people skills to pick up ladies and other gents.
No, I think it does have to be a perfect storm of A, you don't know Jesus, and B, you just got a lot of self-confidence or some swarthiness to you.
And you had enough to drink.
And there might have been some booze involved.
Yeah, or the environment just lends it to people making mistakes.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Well, see, and where a Christian man would mitigate that environment, right? Like the exact same guy will go out of town who loves Jesus and go, nah, no hotel for me. Yeah. I'm going to bring a guy with me. That'll definitely curb that. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
All right. Anyway, that's it. That was the article.
Yeah.
Mike, let's do a couple advices.
Okay.
I told you we might be able to tuck this up tight today.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Dear Life from the Path, I've been married for 45 years. My husband and I get along fine. We each have our little quirks, but after all these years, we're used to each other. There's just one thing that really bugs me about him. When repairs need to be done outside the house, we have it done. New roof, new siding, driveway paved, even solar panels. We also have done some work inside, such as remodeling the kitchen and bathrooms. 12 years after moving into our home, I finally insisted that it be repainted on the inside. My husband griped about it nonstop. I told him he didn't have to do the painting. We would hire someone to do the job. He did have to help me move the furniture. Well, now it's time to replace the carpet. It's original. 30 years old, stained and worn out. Again, he's griping and complaining. He drives a wedge between us. Oh, money isn't the issue. He says I am, quotes, always bothering him with one thing after another. Is it asking too much to have these things done inside my home after so many years? Quotes, nagging wife. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You're not telling the whole story. Like, you just mentioned all the times you wanted to do remodels. You didn't mention the time that you're like, Greg, you didn't put the spoons in right. Greg, your shoes are facing the wrong direction. Greg, when you're going to be the last one out of the bed, you're going to make the bed. And that's the rules, Greg. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he's right here. 30 years old is an outrageously long time for carpet to still be in your house.
That wore out 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's a good chance Jimmy Hoffa underneath there. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that gives you a pass just because you only nag about remodeling on occasion, but then you also nag about everything else all the time.
I mean, if money's not a problem, can't you just order the carpet?
Yeah.
Just order. Order it. You want to get a new carpet? If he doesn't want to do it, just order it. I mean, it's not. You're going to pick it out anyway.
Greg says, I ain't going to help move the furniture. I don't give a crap, Greg. I'll hire someone to do that, too. We don't need you.
See, here's the problem. The guy has arthritis, and he wakes up, and he's in pain, and he doesn't feel good, and his allergies are messed up, and she's talking about carpet, and all he knows is he hurts, and so he gets grumpy. And then she says, there's a wedge between us. They have a great marriage.
Yeah.
Just get the carpet. Get on with your life.
Yeah.
Greg could try to function as a whole human. Maybe not just.
But that new carpet would feel good on the arthritis.
One thought, Greg. I hurt.
So that is another thought, though, is like, if the money's not a problem and he doesn't care about the carpet, why doesn't he goes, yeah, go ahead and order the carpet. A simple new sentence would solve this problem.
Yeah. Well, and maybe he does have a point. Why are you bothering me about this, woman? Why don't you just pull the trigger on it? Don't bother your husband at all. Just say, hey, man, got new carpet coming in Tuesday.
See, they love the conversation. My wife is always asking me questions on colors. Now, she knows I'm colorblind, and for 33 years, I say, I don't know. Not only do I not care, I don't know. I can't tell you what color that is, so I can't tell you if that looks better than the other. But she still asks every single time, hey, do you like this color or that one? I don't know. I don't care.
No.
She likes the conversation. It's the journey.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So you play the game. I don't know. This looks a little brighter, I think.
Yeah.
Looks gray, really, to me, but...
Tell 1/10 of lies. Yeah, I think so. That's like you do at the eye doctor. 1 or 2? 2, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2.
Yeah, I don't know. You
Try
know the
that
right
one
answer.
again?
How long has this guy been checking eyes? He knows when you tell him the lies. You don't be like 1, 2, 1.
Do you have a 3?
Yeah, I guess. I can't stand that guy. He's just a pompous jerk with that eyeglass thing. Click, 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 click. Is 1 better than 2? You know the answer to this. You put the stronger lens on 2. Are you just trying to call me an idiot?
Hey, here's the deal, too. They have the ability to do... They have a line that validates 2015, like you see better than normal, like superhuman.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got lenses that will get me that far, and he always gets that far and then backs it down. He's like, we'll give you 2020.
I need you to come back.
Yeah. I said, give me the full. I mean, give me the superhuman. I'll take the 2015, sir.
Yeah, really.
Hey, the only other thing to note here, and this goes back to the lady conversation, is although not relevant in every case, sometimes ladies, if you don't want to be a mother to your husband, stop mothering him. Right? I mean, sometimes you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
It's possible that like you became his mom, and you don't want to be, so you should just stop.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I can have a pile of about 3 foot deep of socks on my side of the bed, though. And every once in a while I think, oh, look at that. I better wash these socks. So if she stops mothering me, she has to live with that.
No, that's true. That's the question, right? Like, are you willing to put up with that and like slowly change behavior?
She waiting for me to get embarrassed. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed.
No.
Nobody sees this.
No. Nobody's coming in this room but me.
It's soft for me to walk on when I get out of bed.
That's my pile of socks.
It's on my side of the bed.
Exactly. Who cares?
Yeah, no one's coming. The dog don't even come that far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Secular says, the question was, am I asking too much to have these things done inside my home after so many years? Secular says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts forever, and that includes carpet. Make a deal with him. You hire someone to move the furniture this time if he will stop complaining. The disruption will be over in a few days, and the interior of your home will look fresher and newer once that carpet is history.
What, do you work for the carpet company?
Yeah, really. You just basically described new carpet. That was your answer.
She already wanted carpet. It's done. It's a done deal.
Here we go. Dear Life from the Path, I have a problem I don't think you have ever addressed.
Oh, boy.
Both of my testicles have been removed.
Yikes!
You know, we were just talking about this last week.
Okay, continue.
Fortunately, they were not cancerous.
Oh,
What?
whoops.
Why did you take them out?
They just hang around.
I mean, mine aren't cancerous either. I left them in. Okay, hold on. Moving on. It doesn't bother my wife, which is a blessing. Sure. The blessing she married an idiot who had his balls removed for no reason.
I assume that they thought there might be a problem, and so he had him taken out,
Yeah.
and then they turned out to be nothing.
Most support groups are for cancer survivors, and I'm wondering if you know of any groups for men like me. Cancer non-survivor.
What?
Some days I still can't cope with it because it's part of being a man. Any suggestions? Boy, I'm confused, fella. You had your balls removed for apparently no reason at all. We don't have any preventative tests in modern medicine to check if there's cancer in there first before we slice and dice them.
No, sometimes they gotta go in after stuff.
Yeah, it could have been like, you really have a good chance, a high probability of having it, so just get them out.
Well, I mean, can't they put in the nudicles?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, don't they put something back in there? So, I mean, hopefully not metal or anything, so it don't clack around. But some.
I think it's fiberglass, isn't it?
The little silver balls on strings that flop back and forth.
If I can gather what this man's asking, he can't really go to a cancer survivors group because he did not have the cancer.
Right.
But he misses his band balls.
I mean, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to admit that I feel like I shouldn't speak to this because my first reaction is like, you're just going to have to get over this, man.
Yeah.
You don't have cancer. Hallelujah. All right? It's what I mean, you still your penis still works. You still use it. That's how I attach manliness. Are you looking for children? Because I mean, at this point, like it's a done deal. It's all just done.
I mean, you could tie some fishing weights or something down there. I'm not sure. I don't know what to say.
I mean,
bro.
think of how many women have had hysterectomies.
Well, yeah.
You know, and
I mean, there's no exterior look of a hysterectomy, though.
Well, breast. I mean, take it. Breast.
Okay,
right?
mastectomy, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And preventative.
preemptive, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, that happens, and I get it. Like, there's something associated with that. I get that, but like, it's way more obvious for a woman who's had a mastectomy than it is for a guy who took his testicles out.
I'm trying to think of how it's kind of delicate. I mean, how often would you even, realize there's nothing there? I mean,
Yeah, when you get done halfway through the day and be like, there's nothing stuck
Wait
to
a
the
minute.
side of my leg. That's awesome.
I don't have to shift that to sit on this bike.
this is great. I don't know.
I've not lost them, so maybe I'm making fun of the wrong thing.
That's what I'm
here.
saying. I feel like
But
I'm being
here's
insensitive, but I think it's overdone.
I mean, it's just like when ladies get mastectomies, like you have the option to get implants of some kind, right? And
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
fake balls. They put them in dogs all the time.
Huh.
Really?
I did not know that.
Yeah, the white with the yeah.
In dogs?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
did a dog care?
Yeah.
See, maybe this guy should talk to a vet.
I
He's
mean-
obviously dealt with this problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're thinking when is this guy in a context where anybody would know?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
I mean, if you at the
you're
YMCA,
right. This is a
I'm
hard
not
thing
looking
to
that
have. But
close.
I have questions. Like, is it light and fluffy? And it does not feel like it's got any weight to it, like a cheap microphone. The expensive ones are heavy.
Oh, yeah.
The cheap ones feel like there's nothing going on. I mean, is that kind of the concern?
Huh.
Is he just self-conscious about it?
Well,
I
of
think
course.
so.
I mean, I feel like it would be because it's just different, and it feels like it's something not right.
I'd try the fishing weights.
Yeah, just put some in there. Certainly, there's a plastic surgeon who can handle this type of thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
Slice, insert, nudicle, sew them up, done.
I think you got to be careful what you put in there, Mike. I don't think you can just like put it in random.
Couple marbles.
Grapes.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what Secular says.
I am fascinated by the potential in this advice. Go ahead.
Secular says, the doctor who saw you through the procedure may be able to refer you to a group or a therapist who can help you with your adjustment. Comedy. If you have, I don't think she did that for comedy, but that's funny. If you haven't already contacted that physician, it would be a good place to start. Although most members of support groups are probably cancer survivors, you still will have much in common, so keep an open mind before dismissing the idea entirely.
I mean, there's got to be for folks who've had surgery that weren't cancer. I bet there might be like surgery type of thing, like major medical problems.
Yeah, sure. You got time for one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Dear Live from the Path, what is the appropriate response when I get an invitation to go somewhere and I must decline because I can't afford it or don't want to pay for it? I'm trying to cut my expenses, and I'm embarrassed that I can't afford any new expenses. I appreciate the invitations, and sometimes, if it's worth it to me, I will accept. Okay. Sometimes I pick up the pen and write on the envelope and sign my name. She didn't say that part. I don't want to lie when I really want to say, this expense isn't worth it to me. What can I say that won't hurt anyone's feelings and won't get me caught in a lie? Wow, you have the tendency to talk too much.
Dear Life in the Path, I have no tact. I feel like I should have some. What are your thoughts?
Dear 6 answers when one will do. Not attending. Love so-and-so.
Yeah. Why don't you come out? Can't afford it. I mean, whatever. How close are these people to you?
I don't know. She said apparently she gets a lot of invites.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
guess
different things.
I don't have this problem.
Yeah, you can just say, I really can't make it.
Yeah, can't make it.
And they can decide if they want to ask why, but
They say, you busy? Yeah. Busy not making it.
busy counting my money.
Yeah.
I'm not spending when I'm sitting at home.
I don't want any new expenses.
Yeah. I'm trying to save up for a nudicle.
Why are you saying, what is that nudicle?
That's the fake ball.
New testicle? That's it?
Yeah, nudicle. New, N-E-U, fake, fraudulent.
NEU.
Yeah. Like Club Nuevo. It's a new vo.
It's a Spanish testicle?
Yeah, Nuevo.
Anyway. Yeah, what she's saying, so specifically, what can I say? Yeah, I can't make it.
What can I say that won't hurt anyone's feelings and won't get me caught in a lie? Okay, here's let's take this one at a time. What can I say that won't hurt anyone's feelings? There's no such phrase. Someone's going to be offended by something.
I'm sorry, I have to decline.
Yeah, just say, no, I can't make it.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wanted you there, there's no magic sentence that goes, you know what, I really wanted them there, but the way that they said that, I now no longer care.
Yeah.
And if
That's not how it works.
if it's a person that knows you well, and you send them a vague, hey, man, I ain't going to make it, they're going to call. What do you mean you ain't going to make it? No, that ain't going to work for me.
Yeah.
I need the skinny.
Yeah.
And then, what was the other one? And won't get me caught in a lie. Don't tell lies.
Yeah.
There. Done and done.
It's a thought, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: is like if you travel a circle of friends and you say no to 8 things out of 10, yeah, it might come up every once in a while where someone says, "Hey, how come you said yes to that? I thought you were watching your expenses." You say, "I was, and I am. This just I just felt like splurging on this one."
Man, I mean, don't people have any tact at all? You know, like, yeah, you got to live once in a while. I mean, come up with something broad and general that doesn't really slam a guy or say, yeah, but Tim, all your ideas are stupid and I don't want to do those. But the one that Jerry came up with, I think that rocks. You know, I mean, just say, yeah, you know, I got to splurge on something. I guess we'll do this thing this time. Yeah. Then it's back to probably pretty strict living.
And you need to quit living in fear. You're worried about hurting everybody's feelings? Man, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt people's feelings. I mean, that's just life.
Yeah. Not when you're watching your expenses.
Yeah.
Secular says, it isn't shameful to admit to someone that money is tight and you have to cut expenses, so you can't attend an event. It's something that everyone should be able to identify with. However, you should refrain from saying the expense, quotes, isn't worth it to you, because it comes across as judgmental, and the person may take offense.
Blame Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. Sorry, Ramsey bossing me around.
Yeah, can't do it. All right. We agree with that. That's basically what we said.
Yeah.
I poll. I ain't coming.
Ain't gonna happen.
Hey, you listen live from the path. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. Really do appreciate it. If you have any thoughts on the show, if they're good thoughts, shoot us an email, info@livefromthepath.org. If they're bad thoughts, shoot them to Chris Roloff. That's croloff@wtru.com probably. Anyway, next week on the show, there will be no show next week, but we'll hope we catch up with those Wings Refuge folks and see what we can learn about this sex trafficking business and see how good news changes the world, even that arena. Yes. In the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.
Follow new rules with invisible strings and become a puppet in a diabolical scheme. How the good men become a part of the regime. They don't believe in resistance.